breaking news alert.
Does James Worley live or die? The fate of the man convicted for the kidnapping and murder of Sierra Joggin in the hands of the jury for the majority of this day. And then not too long ago, we learned that they have made a decision. Remember, those jurors are determining if Worley should be sentenced to death or life in prison. Michelle Zepeda joining us now live from the Fulton County Courthouse. So, Michelle, the wait is on to hear what the jury decided. We should know in a matter of moments.
That's right. Just about 40 minutes ago, it was a knock on the jury door that did let everyone know they had to get back to the courtroom and get in their seats for that. They did have a decision. The jury was given the case around 11 o'clock this morning. So, I mean, this was a difficult decision in any sort of a case like this where they're trying to determine if this is a death sentence or a life in prison sentence. It does weigh heavy on the jury's minds. As you can see right now, James Worley is walking into the courtroom. All of the family right now is in there from Sierra Joggin. They've been waiting for this decision. Earlier today, there has been closing statements by both the defense as well as the state, just trying to present their case. Of course, the defense was asking for that life in prison sentence for their client, James Worley, saying that this would mean that he still would die in prison, but he would have to live each day thinking about what he did to Sierra Joggin. And of course, the state was talking in their closing statements that they did want the death penalty in this, that this was the crime that was committed and that was the ultimate sentence. As you can see, everyone is getting into that courtroom right now. We do have a little bit of sound from earlier today. This was from closing arguments.
He chose to attack Sierra on County Road 6. He chose to transport her from that location to his barn. He chose to strip her of her clothing and dress her up in pornographic wear. He chose to tie her up and hog-tie her in the manner in which he saw on the pornographic videos he watched. He chose all of those things.
Now, the jury will deliver their sentence today. This is basically a recommendation to the judge. The judge is the one that ultimately does sentence James Worley, and that sentencing will take place in 2 weeks on April 18th. The judge will ultimately take what the jury thought was the best sentence for James Worley and deliver that, what he feels is best, on April 18th. So this still is not over for Sierra's family.
Well, Michelle, stay with me because a couple of things jump out at me, and you seized on one of them this week. Among the four options this jury, we're told, has life in prison with the option of parole possibilities at 25 or 30 years. Most people saying, oh, extreme long shot. But as you seized on reporting, his own attorney stood up in front of a jury and said, hey, let's give him life in prison with no possibility of parole. Kind of a breathtaking moment in court.
Yeah, he actually wrote down all four options for the jury and ripped off the bottom of that paper. And the bottom of the paper was, of course, those options to give him parole after 25 or 30 years. He said he didn't want to insult Sierra's family. He didn't want to insult the community. He said these are crimes that James Worley did commit. And because of that, he found that there were only two options, especially with him being a father of himself, that those were the two options, which was the death penalty or life in prison.
All right, you stay there, Michelle. We see the judge now in court. Let's get out to the Fulton County Courthouse. That's Judge Jeffrey Robinson.
The jury to acknowledge his statement by raising your hand. Have you been sequestered during your deliberations so that you are free from any outside influences which may have attempted to or in fact did in any way influence your deliberations in this case?
Yes, sir.
Do the jurors agree? Please raise your hand. The record should reflect the jurors have all indicated that that's true. Has anyone associated with the court, myself, the bailiff, the deputies, or any person had any communication with you concerning your deliberations, the facts of this case, or the law concerning this case at any stage of the proceedings or during your sequestering, except here in open court and on the record?
No, sir.
If that's true, would you please raise your hand? Thank you. Record should reflect all jurors have raised their hand. Has anyone except in the deliberation room during your deliberations at any time or at any point in time in this case said anything, done anything, or in any way attempted to influence your verdict, or that in fact did influence your verdict in any way?
No, sir.
If that's true, would you please all raise your hand? The record should reflect the jurors have raised their hand. Has anyone except the 12 main jurors participated in any way in your deliberations?
No, sir.
That's a true statement. Would all the jurors please raise their hand? Those jurors. Record should reflect all the jurors have raised their hand. Ms. Grant? Jury 82 is a four-person. I'm going to provide you with the verdict form. Would you please confirm that that is, in fact, the verdict that the jurors reached in this case?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm now going to publish the verdict. We, the jury, unanimously agree the aggravating circumstances committed by the defendant outweigh the mitigating factors beyond a reasonable doubt, and hereby unanimously find the defendant should be sentenced to death. I will now need to poll the jurors. Juror 141, is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror 42, is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror 170, is this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Juror 136, is this your verdict?
It is.
Juror 101, is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror 162, is this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Juror 67, is this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Juror 71, is this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Juror 40, is this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Juror 147, is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror 3, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 82, is this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Record should reflect all the jurors have been polled and all have agreed in the sentence. Please be seated, gentlemen. I want to thank the alternates for being willing to sacrifice so much of your time. It was important, as you now understand, because we've had to replace a couple of jurors, that you be here through this process. I appreciate the attention that you have given to this matter.
As Judge Robinson now thanks the jurors, especially the alternates, there you have it. The jurors in the James Worley murder trial, who a week ago yesterday found him guilty on all counts, 19 of them against him, including kidnapping and murder, now say that he should die for taking the life of Sierra Joggin back in July of 2016. The judge, as is what happens in a courtroom, then polls the juror. Each one has to confirm that, yes, I agree, the death penalty is appropriate. Before saying the word death, the judge said the jurors found the aggravating circumstances outweighed any mitigating factors, and Mr. Worley should die. I want to get over to Michelle Zepeda. She has been on this case from the get-go, and there you have it, Michelle, a death recommendation from the jury. The judge not bound by that, but your thoughts on what we just heard.
That's correct. But you know, something else to mention is obviously Sierra's family. They have been in the courtroom every single day of this trial. They have lived this for close to 2 years. This is a resolution for them. This is one more step closer to, if you can call it, closure. Her mom, of course, Sierra's mom, took to Facebook this week and she said that justice has been served for her daughter, that her killer was sentenced or was charged with those crimes, was found guilty, and that she didn't need that death penalty, that a life in prison sentence would be fine for her. She knew that this was a difficult job for those jurors. I mean, this case has been going on for well over a month. These jurors have not been able to speak to their families about what they do every single day inside this courtroom. So this has been a burden on them as well. But Sierra's family, as I said, already feels that they have had justice for her.
Well, Michelle, they got justice with a conviction on all counts. But I was going to ask you earlier, and then we had to go to the verdict right there. The opinions expressed by Sierra's mom, her feelings that they could live with a life sentence, that never made its way to the jury, did it?
No, it didn't. I mean, the jury has been told every single day, day in and day out, do not check social media, do not watch the news, don't pick up a newspaper, don't talk to anybody about being on this case. Obviously, if you do have that juror in your life, you know that they are part of the case. But I mean, these jurors did take their job very seriously. If anything were to have happened to them, if there was any sort of conversations outside of the courtroom, they were to report that immediately to the judge. And you could tell that this was a burden on them, and they knew that their job was very important.
Michelle Zepeda, just extensive and outstanding live coverage throughout the entire ordeal. Again, if you're just joining us, the jury in the James Worley murder case